Hello, everybody.
Good evening, Madam President. It is 6 p.m. I've started the recording.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and welcome everyone to our regular meeting Tuesday, November 9th. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Stridiron.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Burton, Ms. Green, Dr. Henderson,
Here.
Mr. Howard,
Here.
Mr. Levenstein,
Here.
Ms. Maida,
Here.
Ms. Mineo,
Here.
Mr. Stridiron, Mr. Walker.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby recesses into executive session for the following purpose. Matter made confidential under FERPA, employment history of particular individuals, matters leading to the employment of particular individuals, and collective bargaining under the Taylor Law, NTA, CSCA, NASA, and to obtain advice from legal counsel. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levenstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron.
Yes.
You're all set, Madam President. Start the recording back up.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Sorry we're a little bit late, everyone, but we had some business we had to take care of. I'm going to turn this over to our acting superintendent, Mr. Forget.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, we have a few presentations for you. We're going to start it out with Ms. Peterson sharing an update on family and community engagement, as this is Family and Community Engagement Month. So Ms. Peterson, take it away.
So good evening, everyone, Madam President, board members, Mr. Forget, and senior staff members. As Mr. Forget has said, in years past, we have celebrated a month in which we really celebrate our families and acknowledge their contributions, as well as provide them opportunities to engage at their child's school. So this year is no different. We do have a planned celebration for our families. Our communications team is working very diligently to develop a family engagement webpage, which is going to have a variety of resources for our families. If we could go to the next slide, we'll discuss those components. So what's going to be included on that webpage is we have month-long family activity calendars. Those calendars are in Spanish and in English. We are also going to have some synchronous sessions. We are going to be partnering with some of our community-based organizations to offer those sessions. We are going to have an in-person session as well. And then we are also working with our schools to do pushes for our Panorama Family School Survey, as well as the parent portal. And again, next slide, please. Thank you. So here you have a sample of our month-long family activities calendar. This is a calendar in which families can engage in activities, academic, social, emotional, and as well as family bonding. And included in many of the days in the calendar are active links, which provide them with videos or provides them with strategies, tips that they can utilize in the community or in the home to support family engagement. If we can go to the next slide. This is a copy of our Spanish language. Go back, thank you. This is a copy of our Spanish language month-long activity calendar. And just like our English calendar, it has live links in it, again, to support the opportunity for our L families to engage in home-based strategies, as well as strategies in the community that will support the academic achievement and the social emotional success of their child. Next slide. So this year we are engaging in the Panorama Family School Survey. It is a survey that was developed by Panorama, which measures family and school engagement partnerships. It also allows us to provide parents an opportunity to give us input and feedback as it pertains to their children's schools, and also what types of services and programs and opportunities they would like us to present or to offer them. And we're looking forward to the return of information back from those surveys. And as all of you know, Parent Portal, very critical opportunity for engagement. That portal contains a lot of data and information, which can help parents have data-driven conversations with teachers around their child's attendance and their grades. We also have been posting notices in the Parent Portal as well for the Panorama Survey, and also for Parent Engagement Month. We will be putting a notice in there as well. Next slide. So our synchronous sessions for Family Engagement Month, we are partnering with the Hudson Valley School Age Phase Center. We will be offering 2 sessions on explicit vocabulary instruction for families. It's going to be an opportunity for families to learn home-based strategies pre-K through 6 as it pertains to strengthening their child's vocabulary. And then additionally, this is going to be offered to our Spanish-speaking families, and it will be the same format in terms of providing home-based strategies to strengthen vocabulary for their children, and that's going to be offered on November 30th. What we will be doing is embedding these links into the webpage so that parents will be able to register as well as attend the sessions. Next slide. For our in-person, we are going to be doing an L Newcomers and McKinney-Vento event that we will be partnering with the Newburgh Armory Unity Center. As we have been working in registration, the FACE team has seen an influx or a increase in our L newcomers. And with that increase, we've seen a greater need for these families in order to help them to be able to support their child's academic success. But basically, it just boils down to giving them some basic strategies and some basic information so that they can navigate school and have a better understanding of how they can be partners in their child's education. And then, as you know, McKinney-Vento families are one of our most vulnerable populations, so we plan to support them. And for the most part, many of the L's that have come through the door are McKinney-Vento families as well. And then we're also going to be doing a in-house synchronous session. We'll be working with Mr. Guy Delisfort, and we'll be offering a session on family wellness at the holiday times. And that is probably going to be the week of Thanksgiving, probably on that Monday. I'm just trying to firm up some things with Mr. Delisfort in order to be able to post the date and the time. Next slide. I believe that might be it. Are there any questions?
Board members, any questions? Thank you, Ms. Peterson. As usual, this was really, I think, really great. I think you've got a lot of great things going on. Thank you very much. I've known you for a very long time, and I know that you've always done a great job with our parents and our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Mineo. And I'd like to take time to just say I appreciate that, but please also know it's a great team effort. As you know, we've got Bill Morgan that's working with us and Mr. Anthony Roncal, who is still working in the Welcome Center, but in that work he's doing, he's still helping families tremendously. So it's been a pleasure to support the Welcome Center, and the FACE team will continue to do that. Everyone have a great evening. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson, and thank you to your team. Our second conversation this evening is community collaboration. Dr. Pedro Roman has been doing quite a bit of work in connecting with community agencies, community organizations to build the bridge between the school district and the community to support all of our students and all the youth within our district. So we're just going to hear a little bit of an update as to the variety of different collaborations that are occurring. So Dr. Roman, can you just share a little bit?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Forget. Good evening, everyone. As you know, our students have expressed some social emotional needs that we have to respond to. And as a district, we recognize the benefits of collaborating with our community partners to leverage our resources and problem solve around needs that do arise. One of the things that we, one of the things that we have done over the past 2 years is foster and develop our interagency collaboration with many of the community-based organizations such as Orange County Mental Health, Orange County Youth Bureau, Child and Family Services, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Astor, Marikey, SPOA, just to name a few. And one of the things that we tend to do is we share some of the challenges that we may be facing in our schools as a tier 2 or tier 3 tiered intervention. And what they do in response is work collaboratively with us to offer some additional insights and also additional resources and supports. Additionally, we are working closely with the mayor's office to support a new initiative that they currently have created, which is Dads in Unity. They had their first informational meeting last Saturday, and we're currently in the planning phases for a conference in order to recruit dads and also father figures to support all of our students in our schools. And then lastly, we are working with RECAP, who currently has a program called SNUG. The acronym stands for Gun Spelled Backwards. It's an evidence-based violence reduction program. And we're working right now just to create the logistics around roles and responsibilities. So we're really excited about these partnerships to better support the needs of our scholars in our schools. Thank you, Mr. Forget.
Board members,
you.
questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Howard, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Roman, Dr. Roman, I apologize. So the program that we're partnering with the mayor's office, I think it's Dads in the Community. I think that's an awesome program. But my concern is this, and perhaps you can explain or you can speak to it. Getting the volunteers in the community is very important, but there's another level to that. And getting the volunteers and then properly teaching how to mentor, how to do the work that we need done in the communities with the young boys and girls. Who will be undertaking that effort, and how does that look?
Thank you for the question. So we have a partner, Aim High, who has done this work down in New York City. They have a mentoring component. They have done this work down in New York City in the Bronx, and they would be providing the structure by which to train individual mentors to best support our students. So they have the formula, and they're going to be partnering with us to be able to bring that forward to support our students.
Madam.
Go ahead, Mr. Howard, continue, please.
Thank you. So will that be a district-wide initiative, or will it be for elementary kids? Will it be for the middle school? How will that look?
So at this point, it really is based on recruitment efforts and to see how many volunteers we get. We would first start off by supporting the highest need schools. So we would be looking at our secondary schools right now as a pilot.
Have we looked into the schools? Have we tried to recruit through the schools? Because I know the mayor was doing something on the internet. How do we try to recruit? How will we try to recruit dads and male mentors from families from the children in our district? Have we thought of an opportunity to push out through our schools or robocalls, or how are we targeting these individuals? Because I know they're out there, but how do we get them?
So that's part of the process right now. So we're at the infancy stage right now in terms of organizing that, but we're going to be working with our family and community engagement team to be able to do that and make that happen. But again, it's piloting it first, learning from what works, what doesn't work, and see how we can tweak it to make it better.
Thank you, Dr. Roman.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Dr. Roman. Mr. Forget?
Oh, thank you, Dr. Roman. The three of us. As we look at the fast-growing population that we saw over the summer, and as mentioned by Mrs. Peterson, who was overseeing registration, we're seeing a large number of English language learners coming into the district. We want to be able to provide them with an excellent education. And what we've done for you this evening is our team has worked together to give you kind of a study on the growing demands and the growing numbers of English language learners that are entering the school district and the capacity we have by which to serve them. So I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Felice and Curriculum and Instruction, Equity and Access, and Data and Information. Ms. Felice? Felice, maybe you can jump on with Mr. McLemore.
Can you hear me now?
We're good.
Very good. Thank you. Next slide, please. So over the last 3 years, our district has experienced a surge that was just mentioned regarding the number of English language learners who arrived in the community, seeking a new beginning in a foreign land. The vast majority of these ELF families, they come from the Northern Triangle, and in particular, Honduras, often fleeing from local and national political crises. Therefore, we've kept a very close watchful eye on our growing enrollment numbers. We continue to review our staffing needs, and we continue to seek out new ways to support the newly arrived immigrants in our community. Next slide. The process for projecting and consequently planning for the ongoing changes to our demographics is a layered process that involves many different partners, including data specialists, curriculum and social emotional learning experts, and human resource partners. Together, we've been able to look at the student enrollment data and the staffing vacancy reports in order to surface several salient trends and then discuss the potential actions and resources that could support the ELF families with a better quality of life. Next slide, please. A review of our current district-wide EL enrollment data, as well as the staffing vacancy report, reveals that 15% of our total population is comprised of English language learners, with an additional 2% or 274 students receiving EL services as former ELs. It's necessary to note that the number of ELs in our district has increased by 113 students, or 1% since before the COVID pandemic began, while our overall district enrollment has grown by only 28 students since the fall of 2019. This is to say that our ELF population is growing at a rate 3 times more than our overall enrollment. This snapshot, go back. This snapshot of the October 2021 enrollment data also shows that our school sites with the greatest number of EL students are Gardnertown, South Middle, Gidney Avenue, and Meadow Hill. At each of these schools, ELs comprise 20% or more of the total student enrollment, exceeding the district average. Nonetheless, these schools are well-staffed to service their ELs, with the exception of South Middle School, which we will take a closer look at in a moment. All other schools across the district have EL populations ranging from 6 to 15% and are generally well-staffed, with some exceptions at Fostertown and NFA North, which we will also discuss further. Next slide. Let's take a closer look at Fostertown now. Over the last 2 years, there has been a significant increase in the total number of ELs being serviced at the school due to the intentional efforts of curriculum and instruction. Most recently, CNI has planted a transitional bilingual program that is intended to run tangent to the site's longstanding dual language program in order to increase the number of ELs serviced at the school. As this new program continues to grow over time, the need for additional bilingual certified teachers is also expected to increase. Another interesting data point at Fostertown is the one vacancy that the school has experienced in its grade 4-5 dual language program this year. Due to a series of fulfilled transfer requests that took place in August, the school opened with a vacancy that has not yet been filled in spite of numerous postings on the position. Next slide, please. NFA North is another site that's working through a staffing challenge after a significant increase in its EL population has created the need for district and school to rethink what might be the best way to support the English language acquisition needs of its 4% increase of ELs since 2018. In the current year, a significant number of student transfers from NFA Maine to NFA North has created a need for the school to use incidental teaching as an option, with English teachers supporting ELs with English acquisition in the content areas. Additionally, NFA North has a Spanish vacancy, which has been difficult to fill in spite of numerous postings. Next slide. Over time, South has demonstrated grave issues with filling its vacancies, particularly in service to the L subgroup. In spite of the district and the school's many efforts to recruit highly qualified personnel through outreach to colleges, regional listservs, and through personal referrals. The table here depicts that the school has persistently experienced vacancies over the last several years in the areas of bilingual and ENL teaching. Spanish language vacancies, although not captured here, have also been a concern dating back beyond 2017. Next slide, please. In summary, here's a snapshot view of the district's vacancies directly related to services to our L population. Dating back to the beginning of the data set, which is 2017, the bilingual secondary, Spanish, and ENL tenure areas have been true shortage areas for our district, mirroring the New York State and national teacher shortage crisis. Next slide. As a recap, South Middle School continues to experience the greatest need and challenge in filling vacancies that support our L students. Next slide. And whereas we recommend CNI to conduct a root cause analysis regarding the anomaly vacancy at Fostertown, our district also faces a greater issue. As we make estimated projections for the future of Ls, we may expect challenges in filling current and new vacancies, given the national teacher shortage, coupled with the continued influx of immigrants in our community who require language support services. Next, we'd like to share some of the current and future work the district is engaging in to support English language learners and their families.
Thank you, Ms. Van. So currently our district has the following action plan under Curriculum and Instruction Division. We have a new addition of a language acquisition specialist to serve our faculty as a coach and mentoring role capacity to help them understand second language acquisition, implement linguistic support and methodology. The specialist is visiting content area teachers, classes, meeting with teachers during their planning time to offer professional development, and also lead compliance and testing for ENL students. We are providing ELL extended school day, extended school year programming for our students. We are providing teachers with specific guidance around using the ERLA and ENEAL toolkit for ENL learners. The toolkit is organized to provide high leverage power goals specific to students who are developing reading skills as they acquire English language proficiency. We are planning to work with Mount St. Mary College for a new TESOL certification program. And we are always reviewing and monitoring our ELL enrollment. Dr. Roman?
Through Equity and Access and the FACE team, we're continuing to support our families through the intake registration process. So whenever our families are entering the district, there's information in terms of navigating the system that's shared in their home language, as well as resources such as book bags, materials, pencils, school supplies, food pantries, anything that they have expressed a need or we inquire about, we share that information with them. Additionally, our team has reached out to the food pantry, who has generously offered 100 turkeys and food baskets that they're going to be providing to the district to support our families in need.
So through the, since June 2021, what we've done is that we've supported the L's by filling a number of vacancies, as you can see there. And with the collaboration with the NTA through negotiations, what we've done is that we have been able to additionally support our L's and our scholars through a sixth class. And with the sixth class affords us the ability, or for the district the ability, to have teachers teach an additional class, which in essence gives us a lot of support for our L's.
Additionally, on the curriculum and instruction side, we're ensuring that we're increasing the usage and the number of Rosetta Stone and Lexia licenses provided to students and to teachers. This software provides structured literacy lessons for students. It provides professional development to our teachers, as well as a monitoring tool to monitor the progress of our students and reteach and provide interventions. Our school break academies, similar to the holiday and spring break and holiday break academies that we ran last year, will provide opportunities to students to have continuous learning. So over the breaks, students who sign up will continue to engage in learning opportunities to advance their progress, to learn in some different, more project-based, hands-on ways than they do on a day-to-day. And we will continue to collaborate with the Armory and the Mount, who are great collaborators and partners in providing not only opportunities for students, places for students to go and engage in programs, but supports to our families as well.
Through equity and access and our interagency collaboration, we continue to partner with them. They are ready to support us with any identified needs. So we're going to continue to share information as we receive it. We're going to continue to expand the partnership with the Newburgh Armory to use that site as a distribution site for some of the materials that we will be receiving. And again, just continuing to collaborate with United Ways, Catholic Charities, Independent Living, and some of the other agencies that are a part of our interagency collaboration to support the needs of our students and families.
So recognizing some of the barriers that we face in trying to fill some of the vacancies, we're now going to be where we're trying to be more proactive in our approach. And so it's when we know that vacancies are going to exist, we we have anticipated postings out so that we can generate a pool of candidates. We're going to have an increased presence at college and career fairs, whether it be in person or whether it be virtual. Our postings are going to go out to various places. And we're going to even look into re-engaging with some of our surrounding academic institutions of higher learning for our own college fairs. So right now, we post in a number of places, AASA, SANES, ALAS, NASB, NABI, OLAS, INDY, NISCUS, EdWeek, NIASPA. Now we have learned of a new place, Arburn, and we have sent postings there as well. So we're trying every approach to ensure that we have certified staff in front of our scholars. Thank you.
Thank you, senior team.
Board members, questions or comments? Thank you for this really informative workshop, really, about bilingual and ESL. Thank you very much. Mr. Forget?
Thank you. We're going to turn now to the strategic plan, Imagine 2025, and what's going to be happening in the school district over the course of this particular school year. So, as you know, in Imagine 2025, we came up with something called the Portrait of a Graduate. And a Portrait of a Graduate kind of defines what are the key characteristics we want every student to display and have embodied at the point of graduation. So all of the initiatives that you're hearing that we're doing, all of the work that our directors, supervisors, classroom teachers, teaching assistants, custodians, everyone's working on right now, really focus on making sure that our students meet the characteristics of the portrait of a graduate. Can you go to the next slide, please? So when you look at those Goldbach characteristics, we're looking at collaboration. So what's collaboration? Collaboration is understanding and the ability to negotiate through a balanced, diverse population, understanding others' points of view and coming together to a common understanding of where we're going to go. We hope our students embrace that and develop that as they go through their years in the Newburgh School District. Divergent thinking, demonstrating originality, imagination, and new ways of thinking. Not just the way you know now, but what are other ways we can think and problem solve? When we think about endurance, we want them to take initiatives and act with purpose, not just sit back, think about it, take action with purpose. And then analytical thinking, identifying, evaluating, and prioritizing solutions for difficult and complex situations. When something's really tough, don't walk away from it. Let's sit down, let's figure it out. Let's come up with a really good decision and let's work together to implement that. And then there's empathy. It's demonstrating awareness, sensitivity, concern, and respect to connect with others' feelings, opinions, experiences, and cultures. Those are just a few of the components of a Goldbach characteristic that we're looking for. All these things within our students will come to life as a result of all the work that we're doing with our students, with our families, with our communities, as a result of working with our teachers and our teachers delivering the amazing instruction that they do. So that talks about the students, what the students should look like upon graduation. Next slide, please. So how do we know how well we're doing? We've created an accountability team. And if you notice, the accountability team is made up of teachers, school leaders, parents, and community members. These are the people that are going to tell us whether we're hitting the mark or not. Is what we're trying to do producing the results we're hoping to? So the accountability team is going to be led and guided by external evaluators from Education Elements. The accountability team is going to engage in focus groups and town hall meetings and conversations that really focus on, are we growing and developing our students as we intended to? So it's an external group coming in to keep us on task, to keep us real, to make sure that we're doing the right thing to create these characteristics in all of our students. Next slide, please. So what are some of the specific initiatives that we're working on and targeting this year? Well, curriculum and instruction, in partnership with Equity and Access, by June, we'll hope to implement culturally responsive and standards-aligned curricula and assessments, taking it right into the classroom. Human Resources is going to be focusing on cultivating a diverse workforce. Wellness, Exceptional Learners is going to be working on wellness for the provision of a safe and secure environment. And Finance is going to be working on establishing equitable distribution of human and fiscal resources. Although these divisions are working on this, it's a collaborative effort of all of us supporting each other to do this particular work. So as we implement the different processes and procedures and strategies around each of these components, we're hoping that they're going to add value to our students and the characteristics of a Goldbach. It's a really quick kind of summary of the work that's going to focus us this year and where we're going. But how are we going to know we're making a difference? I know Mrs. Burton asks that quite frequently. How do we know we're getting the impact we're looking for? Education Elements is going to keep us on task. They're going to be the external evaluator that's going to say, so Finance, you said you were going to equitably distribute human and fiscal resources. Prove it. How did you do it? What changes did we see? Is it making a difference? And they're going to keep us on task with that so that at the end of the year, the board will be provided with an evaluation written by external evaluators to determine the success that we had with the implementation of the 2021-2022 Imagine 2025 initiatives. That is our presentation on Imagine 2025.
Board members, anybody have any questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Forget. I don't see anybody's hand.
That
So,
concludes my items, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forget. We're now at the section of the agenda on public comments for agenda items. So please refer to the regulations regarding discussion and comments. Mr. McCoy, who do we have?
One person signed up, Miss Conchetta Carbo. She's in the room now.
Ms. Carbone, welcome and go right ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Madam President, board members, central office. I wanted to speak today about the agenda item about Pear Deck. Pear Deck, I got my little pear guy here. Pear Deck is an educational ed tech platform that we have. And I know a lot of times software comes through the board and you don't really get to see the details of it. So I wanted to share with you some information about Pear Deck. I know in the write-up they have case studies about other schools, but I wanted to give you a little glimpse as to what we're doing with it here in Newburgh. Although I'm a retired ITF, I am still in quite contact with the ITF team. I'm still teaching classes through the Teacher Center. And Pear Deck is a really easy to use program that aligns with our Google platform. It works in collaborations with Google Slides. So the students are familiar with the platform and the teachers are familiar with the platform. The best thing about Pear Deck is it adds interactivity to any Google slide. So rather than just giving students information, now they can interact with it. They can draw, they can write, they can type, they can annotate, they can graph. Teachers can see them doing math on the screen. They can highlight. It has all these amazing interactive features that builds on existing stuff we have, as well as easy to use platforms to build engaging instruction moving forward. Just to give you a little bit of some opportunities that Pear Deck gives to us, they have social and emotional components built in. They easily integrate with other platforms like Newsela or Newsela. I know there's a bit of a debate as far as who says it which way. They have great feedback features where teachers can give really targeted feedback to individual students in a really easy to use format. So just to kind of give you a little glimpse as to what we're doing, I would say in the last 4 years, it's one of the most widely used programs, grades 3 through 12. The primary grades, I think, would use it more, but they're in the seesaw land, which is kind of a different situation than the Google platform. But it's really diverse. It's really easy to use. It's integratable into all subject areas, all content. It's great for when you have a student remote at home. I had a student today who was involved in our lesson because every student gets their own version of the content. So it's just a really neat, easy to use platform that I really think is worth the money. I think in the proposal for a 3-year renewal, it's like $2.50 a student, which seems like a good buy to me. But again, I just wanted to share some Pear Deck information with you because a lot of stuff comes through the board and maybe you don't see the details. Also, my classroom door is always open if someone wants to come by. I've heard I'm pretty loud, so you can find me pretty easily down by the cafeteria if you want to see it in action. We use it probably about once a standard to anchor our learning, and then the kids can go back to it multiple times. But the feedback feature is really amazing too. So I just wanted to let you know kind of what I thought about it and kind of let you know what Newburgh's doing with it. I know the case studies are cool, but our teachers are using with fidelity. They're using it often. We're onboarding new people and the ITF team does a great job of supporting it. So just wanted to let you know, and I am an inspirational educator. So thank you for that. Come on, Carol, it's cute. Look. So I didn't wear my shirt, but I do have a shirt from them as well. They give good swag. They're active on Twitter. Good program. So thanks for listening. And I hope to see you all soon. And shout out to my teacher friends that are normally there from the NTA, Miss Kennedy, Miss Andrea, Merrill. So we're normally at the board meetings with you and we're still online with you. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carbone. That was really a very enthusiastic session there. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to our board committees. We're going to go to exceptional learners. And instead of Ms. Burton, I have Mr. Levenstein.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, Ms. Burton forwarded me the notes for the meeting that we were at. So the exceptional learners met November 2nd. We approved the concept of extra earnings for a team of staff to design and develop restorative practices, a restorative practice online webpage hub to provide tools and resources for staff to rely upon and build SEL supports. Part of our learning, more about PPS, SEL, and understanding roles of team members in our district, we hear directly from team members and how their work behind the scenes is critical to our scholars and families. Ms. LaFaro at GAMS highlighted the work of the elementary school counseling, which focuses on academic, social, personal, and career development. We discussed resolutions 7.2 through 7.4 on tonight's exceptional learners agenda. We discussed resolution 9.16 on tonight's human resources agenda, and these resolutions are there so the district stays in compliance with student IEPs. We heard an update on the state of CPSE programs, and we approved recommendations for CSE, CPSE committees. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Mr. Levinstein, why don't you just continue and do audit and finance, please?
Okay, sure. So audit and finance, we met at 5 p.m. tonight. The committee discussed the resolutions 8.1 through 8.6 on tonight's finance agenda. We also discussed the resolution 9.3 on tonight's human resources and resolution 7.5 on the exceptional learners agenda. In addition, we discussed the Newburgh Free Library's audit report, including recommendations and winter athletic bids. And if you don't mind, Madam President, if I can just talk about the building and grounds building tours.
Go ahead, Mr. Levinstein.
Thank you. So Building and Grounds is conducting building facility tours for board members. Last week, we visited 4 Town of Newburgh schools. This morning, we visited 4 Town of New Windsor schools. We are looking at the facilities and buildings themselves, boilers, cafeterias, gyms, windows, safety items, and concern of employees. Over the next 2 weeks, we will be visiting 6 City of Newburgh schools. And if any board member wants to contact Mr. McCoy if they would like to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Levinstein. We're going to move on to Curriculum and Instruction Committee, and that's Mrs. Maida.
Thank you, Madam President. The Curriculum Committee met on Wednesday, excuse me, November 3rd, and some of our discussions included the 4 resolutions that you see on our agenda this evening, including conference requests for leaders in our district, Ms. Keach, Ms. Lazarski, Ms. Romano, and Ms. Young. So we're excited about that. Another exciting resolution that you will see in front of you is development of a new club by a student at NFA. And that that student is very excited about getting this new club up and running for our district. Our presentations and updates were on data analysis. We had a good discussion about the challenges that lay ahead in our school year. And secondly, we had an update on, excuse me, our culturally responsive plan which is a multi-year plan. And that has been carefully planned by our district. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Maida. We're going to move on to our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Elementary, Mrs. Moriarty.
Thank you, Madam President. Elementary Curriculum and Instruction presents item 5.1 and a resolution to execute a contract with Pear Deck. And I think Ms. Carbone covered it more thoroughly than I could have. So I present that for your consent.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Mr. Stridarn.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items.
Thank you, Mrs. Moriarty. We're going to move on to our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction Secondary, Mrs. Soto.
Good evening, Madam President. Our division presents to you agenda items 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3 for the board's consideration.
Would any member like to separate out any of these items? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So move.
So second.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Mr. Stridarn,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items for this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Soto. We're going to move on to our Assistant Superintendent for Exceptional Learners, Mr. Bayer.
Thank you, Madam President. The Exceptional Learner Division has items 7.1 through 7.5 on a consent agenda for the board's consideration.
Would any member like to separate out any item? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Mr. Stridarn,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes my items.
Thank you, Mr. Bayer. We're going to move on to our Assistant Superintendent for Finance, Dr. Spindler.
Thank you, Madam President. Finance presents items 8.1 through 8.6 as a consent agenda for the board's consideration.
Would any member like to separate out any of these items? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So
So
Second.
Questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Stridarn.
Yes, on item 8.6, do we know who donated the COVID tests?
We do. Mr. Baer, do you have more information on?
I do not have the exact name, but it was a person within the district who resides here who ran a summer program, a summer camp, and he had access to them and he asked us if we would like them. I don't have the gentleman's name, but it came from a approved summer camp that they had to provide weekly testing for.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Not roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Mr. Stridarn,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein.
Yes.
That concludes my items this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Spindler. We're going to move on to our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Mr. McLemore.
Thank you, Madam President. On the Human Resources agenda, I have items 9.1 through 9.19 for your consideration on tonight.
Would any member like to separate out any of these items? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Mr. Stridarn,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida.
Yes.
That concludes my items, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLemore. We're going to move on to the Clerk of the Board, Mr. McCoy.
Thank you, Madam President. I have the approval of the minutes from the October 26th board meeting.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Stridarn,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo.
Yes.
That concludes my items, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. We're now at the portion of the agenda for public discussion on non-agenda items. Please refer to the procedure sheet. Mr. McCoy, I know we had somebody, but I don't see them.
We did have one person signed up, but they have left the room, ma'am, so we have nobody.
Thank you. So I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting, please.
So move.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Maida,
Yes.
Ms. Mineo,
Yes.
Mr. Stritter,
Yes.
Dr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Howard.
Yes.